Hi there, I'm Zoot Java. Today I'd like to talk about some protesting done in the wake of Joe Biden being sworn in as the 46th President of the United States. Last night in Portland, surprise, surprise, there was what appeared to be two separate protests take place. One was actually a peaceful protest. Big crowd, fair amount of noise, bullhorns, etc. This was the usual, we demand this and that, we're victims still, so you have to listen to our demands, that sort of thing. The other protest was not a peaceful protest. It was yet another riot in the city of Portland. There were fires set in a street, which even disrupted the homeless who attempted to put some of the fires out simply because they didn't want to be included in the blame and forced out of the area that they have found to live. The rioters don't care about them because they get to go home to their parents, a safe assumption, warm, cozy houses after causing all this mayhem, and leave everyone else with the destruction to deal with. They also took it upon themselves to run through the streets, smashing windows out of businesses who were barely able to eke out a living, and leaving them with a bill for this destruction to pay. They decided to riot, vandalize the building of the Democratic Party of Oregon. Ironically enough, according to the police, they were smashing windows, spray painting what I'm assuming were Antifa or anarchist symbols. At an ICE facility, 8 people were arrested, facing charges of rioting, criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, interfering with a peace officer, reckless burning, and possession of a destructive device. The crowd swarmed the officers who used a smoke canister to get away. The crowd had been seen causing damage to the ICE facility by throwing rocks and eggs and other projectiles at it. Others were seen to have pepper ball guns, tasers, shields, and rocks to cause damage or violently assault other people with. The rioters were seen yelling at and approaching federal officers who were dressed in, appropriately enough, riot gear. The officers were forced to fire off pepper bullets and tear gas. In Seattle, a group of rioters marched to a federal courthouse where they took it upon themselves to smash a number of windows, resulting in 3 people getting arrested. The crowd began yelling for the abolition of ICE, and outside the federal immigration court, a number of people set fire to American flags. Joe Biden said in his speech, "With this campaign over, it's time to put the anger and the harsh rhetoric behind us and come together as a nation. It's time for Americans to unite and to heal." In saying with the campaign over, he's admitting that all the rioting, looting, damage in the billions of dollars, and murders that took place all across the U.S. in the last 9 months was nothing more than a tool that the Democratic Party utilized to get him and the woman who called him not a racist, but the next best thing by siding with racist policies, to the White House. As the violence began to spread, the Democrats appeared to play this like a fiddle, with the mainstream media as their crony henchmen. No matter how much damage or looting took place, no matter how many buildings and small business establishments were burnt to the ground, and no matter how many people wound up dead as a result of these riots, one would be hard-pressed to find any reporting on them as just what they were: riots. All of this ridiculous behavior was not only allowed, but encouraged by politicians such as Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, who wound up the butt of Antifa anger by playing up to them; Kamala Harris, the new vice president, who encouraged the rioting by fundraising to bail out people charged with crimes during the riots; AOC, who said that the people had to behave this way because it was the only way for them to be heard. So apparently these actions are fine. In spite of every single Trump supporter being attacked and blamed as being unhinged and a threat to the entire country because of the actions of a few morons in one terrible, stupid, and unfortunately lethal attack on the Capitol, Trump voters all across the country have not been seen burning down cities or rioting, even with a poll of 90% of them who don't believe that the election has been fair. Has anyone seen Trump supporters burning down cities and buildings to the ground? Have they been looting stores or beating up Biden supporters? It hasn't happened. Strange how the Democratic rhetoric during this summer was, "This is Trump's America," while they magically found the footage of riots and fires. The same footage that apparently didn't exist when reporting on the BLM and Antifa thugs, who were always labeled as peaceful protests. Well, it's Biden's America now, and they're still burning and violently attacking people and vandalizing buildings. Federal buildings, too. The same designation as the Capitol, but that was different. It's the center of democracy. Bullcrap. It was brought into the mouthy politicians who have defended this behavior. When they got confronted with the exact same type of behavior that they had been defending for the last 9 months because it suited their narrative, they cried and sniveled like the miserable little cowards that they are. Perhaps if they hadn't condoned and endorsed this behavior from thugs all summer long while praising them, maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't have been subjected to having a tiny scare thrown into them. Donald Trump offered to help stop the violence by sending in troops, but the governors all denied it. You're off to a lousy start with your unified America, Joe. Get your act in gear and clear this mess up. Every one of you criticized Trump for this, so you surely must have had the answer to unifying everybody and stopping the riots. So do it. And now, for what you've all been waiting for. My bad joke. What do you call an Italian astronaut? A specimen. Well, always hit the thumbs up and subscribe because it really helps me out and it fights against the platform. Hit the bell for more of my words of wisdom and share my content on all your social media because I get censored by all the usual suspects. Until later, have a Java on Zoot.